So in light of the some of the states are canceling or banning the cell phones in the classroom, I'm gonna say good for you guys. Louisiana, they have been pretty strict on the cell phones in the public schools, pretty much. Let me tell you this, because and this is gonna be a cell phones in high school and cell phones in college. I'm gonna start the high school one first because that's kind of where it started for me. That's kind of where I had a phone. It okay. First and foremost, I was in high school when I first got a phone. But the reason being for me was I was in band. I was a band student all throughout high school, and there were often times my practices got canceled, and or sometimes I have gone away to go to a performance, like a marching competition that's pretty much in the ballpark. Because I was in marching band, I was in also concert band too, and there were often times my mom or dad couldn't be there because they worked. And especially in my last year with my mom, I had to take care of someone who was sickly in the house, which was my grandma. So we kind of started off basic for me. And basic meaning I can describe the phone and I can tell you about it a little bit. Basic was, if you know the old track phones, yes, the old basic track phones, which they were called government phones back in the day, back in the early, I'm going to say the early 2010s, that's what was 2010s. That's what I started with, and I can find a picture of one on my browser here. Like, of one, just so we see it. Images, trying to get into image mode. Okay, I'm gonna just show an image, and I can show I'm buying it, but this is basically what I had to work with. This right here, and it was a government phone just like that, almost. So what it is, we had to set up rules about it. We had to set up the minutes first and talk about the rules. The rules were for me, and since my school was kind of strict on it back in the day, because we had instances where the administration got called into the classroom, we got the student's phone went off. And that happened a few times with a few of my teachers here and there that they had to buzz the office and we need administration, the student's phone's going off, and yet the student got written up for it. I was lucky enough that I didn't get written up because I knew better. And for what I did, and for that basic phone, and you'll laugh at me, so pretty much, I would turn the phone off and then also undo the back and take the battery out so nobody hears it ringing. Because I didn't want to be so embarrassed about it and say, look, no, you're not going to hit my phone because I yanked the battery out. Way to outsmart administration, pretty much. And maybe I had them fooled. So, yeah, every time that happened in my watch, the students had to surrender the phone to the teacher had to write it up, and they had to send administration too, all sorts of things happen. So that's why I did that, because I didn't want to get caught with it. And anytime I've used it, it was after school. Like if my practices got canceled, I remember there were certain times I put the battery back in the phone, turn it on, call my parents, say, "Hey mom, dad, practice is canceled, I'm on my way home." I didn't care if people fussed at me for getting on my phone, but hey, it's my business, it's my one way of communication between me and my mom and dad. That I wish they would just mind their business. And if we were on away trips and 10 to 1 I left the phone in my hat, and if you were in marching band, you would probably leave the phone in your hat box or something like that. Let it sit there. But if in the case you're a percussionist, you bring your seat bag, that's another place you'll leave it. But in my case, I used it and I say, "Hey, we're on the way back from such and such location." I just gave them the location that we were at so they would know to start heading to the school. So that was the usage. And none of my usage signifies disrespect towards faculty. I think, instead of banning the phones, parents should teach their kids that, education's more important. And that's what my mom taught me. Education is important. Turn off the phone and put it in your purse. It's probably the best way you did that. And for me, it kind of taught me discipline, because look, I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to disrespect my peers, and nor will I disrespect the teachers. So I'm also going to create a part 2 to this, and I'll start with part 2, the college part. College is different than high school. I'm not going to lie to you about that. Here's the why part. Because college, you got, all your students are adults. And all the teachers are adults. And therefore, everybody will carry a phone on them at all times. Because look, you don't need a landline, you should just need to have a phone on you in case something was to go wrong. And you need to get help. So, the rules are different in college than high school. And I can say from an experience that, because your instructors versus high school, high school would take your phone away. College, it's totally different. Totally different ballgame. Number one, they'll tell you straight from the beginning, turn the phones on silent. But what I do with this right here, my actual phone, I put on the silent switch, which is right back here. You can see it on red. And I put this phone on do not disturb. But when I was at NSU, that's when I actually, I think Fletcher 2, that was when it started with smartphones. Because my first smartphone did not have that do not disturb function. I just had to rely on the solid button to not cause any problems. But more when I get into NSU, I kind of set the do not disturb function to be in the background when I'm on campus. I mean, when I'm on campus, I don't want this phone going off. I don't want it to ring nothing during the day. And the only times I used this was for an emergency. Like, emergency being the fact Faculty members are getting in touch with me through the email. Yes, I said the VIPs on my faculty. Everybody who tried to get in contact that's how I got VIP for every person's name. That way I just know to my brain to respond as soon as I see it. And that's the case. And the only time I've used my phone was, it was not in class time. I had it on Do Not Disturb and on silent to be respectful of faculty. Because let me tell you what faculty members do. Now I will be blunt and I will be very honest. Faculty members, if they hear a phone, they're going to say, look, get off your phone. But in reality, some can kick you out for this. Kick you out of the classroom and request that you go and meet the teacher face to face before returning back to class. Yep, that's what most of the college syllabi would be about. Because they will say this firsthand on the first day that they will not tolerate a cell phone going off in class. And yeah, if emergencies arise, let's say you got a loved one in the hospital or someone trying to contact you on campus, just notify your teachers ahead of time. I'm probably sure they'll understand if you gotta step out of the classroom to handle business. And I know they will have some form of compassion. They'll understand. At least you're not being rude. So that's what I did for the most part. And if I had to handle business, I tried to handle it in between classes. That way it won't be so disrespectful to the environment, the teachers, the students. And if I have my lessons, I do the same rules, pretty much, as I do any other classroom. Say no phones, unless I am taking notes on something, which would be probably the iPad right here. But other than that, strictly forbidden. And also, for me, I use my phone in the classroom ever if I'm recording a lecture, because I have very slow handwriting. And it was on my accommodations that I was able to record it, but I had to know that I'm on contract. I mean, I cannot share this information with anybody. Anybody, anywhere. Because if you're on disabilities, the contracts are, this is kind of one of them. Sharing, posting, you're forbidden, pretty much. Offhand. Because you're going to get in trouble, pretty much. So I hope this helps with some stuff, and see you later.